It was said by Plutarch that once when Caesar was crossing the Alps, he and his band of men came across a small and desolate native village that had hardly any inhabitants. Man, this place looked like a morbid, miserable place to live. As they continued to walk around, his friends were joking back and forth about how even here in a desolate place there must be jealous people and people striving for higher positions. Caesar looked at his friends and in all seriousness said, "As far as I am concerned, I would rather be the first man here than the second man in Rome." This struggle for position and power didn't begin with Caesar. No, it began in the heart of Lucifer, the most beautiful of all God's created beings. Even Jesus' disciples experienced this struggle. This struggle is also evident in our society today. It's easy to forget about God's grace. It's easy to get caught up in a world that is far away from God's kingdom. It's even easy to forget that we as Christians are called to be servant leaders. You see, my friends, Jesus demonstrated servant leadership when he stooped down to wash his disciples' feet, and he gave us an example of what it looks like to be humble. In today's Sabbath School lesson, we're going to dive into multiple passages of Scripture that show how Jesus demonstrated humility and how he expects his followers to do the same. Man, as you study the lesson today, I pray that three things will happen. The first thing, I pray that you will realize the importance of humility and God's sacrifice in order for us to gain salvation. Number two, I pray that you will feel a need to surrender fully to God. Lastly, I pray that you will submit fully to God's will for your life. Jesus was a perfect example of humility and grace. Often we tend to see him as a glorious and affluent God, but in reality, when he descended to this earth, he took upon himself a lowly status. Many times, my friends, we strive to be first, don't we? We want all the glory and the honor, right? On the sports field or in school or in anything that we do. This is so different from the attitude Jesus displayed. In fact, in Mark 9:35, it says, "Anyone who wants to be first must be the very last and the servant of all." We must come to Christ with a humble spirit and be willing to surrender to his will. I pray that this week we will ask Jesus to give us the spirit of humility, and I pray that we will commit to living a life of humility wherever we go.